Picture landing at DXB for your very first time. We are talking 2022 or maybe early 2023. Trekking through that terminal, the sheer magnitude floors you. Those ceilings feel like they touch the heavens. Duty-free stores go on for literal miles. Immigration flows so fast, you start believing this city actually has its act together. You finally exit the doors, and that thick, heat-soaked air hits your chest. Midnight in a cab, flying down Sheikh Zayed Road, the surrounding views are not just architecture. They are a fever dream. Glowing skyscrapers and twisting steel spires. It is a metropolis birthed by architects who simply never heard the word no. The hype you bought into was straightforward. In Dubai, the financial laws of physics just do not apply. Zero income tax? Zilch. Every single cent promised on that contract was exactly what hit your checking account on payday. Sure, existing was pricey, but those paychecks were massive enough to bridge the gap. Crunching the data, you realized your bank balance would explode 10 times faster here than anywhere else. You would spend 10 extra years grinding in London, Sydney, or New York to match this. Talent flooded in from everywhere. German builders, Indian bankers, Aussie ad gurus, and American startup kings. They all flocked to the desert. This place expanded so violently that standard global leaderboards could not even keep up with the pace. Dubai ceased being just a location. It became a manifesto on wealth, life, and the ultimate future. For 15 years, that vision dominated. Today, we are breaking down why that dream is finally hitting a brick wall. No massive disaster ruined the party. The truth is actually far more fascinating and subtle. It is a deeper lesson than any sudden crash. The promise Dubai sold to the globe was 100% legitimate. Those tax savings were facts. The drive was authentic. That world-class infrastructure? Absolutely top tier. Yet beneath the surface, hidden gears were grinding, slowly poisoning the very financial logic that brought people here. More seekers are finding the numbers no longer add up. By 2026, these whispers have turned into a roar. It is the burning topic in every group chat, Reddit thread, and high-end dinner party from the marina to downtown. Total headcounts might still be climbing, but the demographics of who stays versus who bails is shifting drastically. Plus, the people refusing to even show up are changing the game in ways the government data refuses to show. The city is not losing people. It is losing the specific class of talent that built it. And that exact demographic was the entire reason this desert experiment even existed. Let us dive into the data, because the reality is way messier than the flashy growth reports let on. Official records show the population hit nearly 3,950,000 residents by 2025. That is a massive figure, proving the city did indeed see some genuine expansion. Back in 2020, only 2,900,000 lived here. The boom was undeniable and fully recorded. But those vanity metrics are hiding a much darker economic truth. Check out the intel from the talent experts over at Cooper Fitch. Their yearly wage report pulled data from over 1,000 different companies across the Emirates. The predicted pay raise for 2025 across the entire nation? Absolute zero. Forget 3% or even 1%. Flatlined. The economy might be churning, but your paycheck is not. For the ambitious foreigner coming to stack cash, the buying power of their offers is completely evaporating, all while the cost of simply breathing in this city skyrockets. We need to get specific about these costs, because the devil is in the granular details. By June 2025, the Mercer rankings saw Dubai jump to the 15th most expensive spot on the planet. That crown makes it the single priciest hub in the Middle East for any global professional. A basic one-bedroom in the heart of town hit 8,700 dirhams monthly by early 2026. That is roughly $2,369 a month, nearly $28,000 annually for one tiny flat. Expert Matthew Green notes that rental prices spiked 16% in the year ending December 2024. He leads the research team for the entire region at the real estate giant CBRE. Previously, in 2024, leasing costs had already exploded by up to 22% annually. Go back to 2023, and the price hikes were just as brutal and relentless. Dubai's housing market has been on an insane 22-quarter winning streak, as revealed by the latest Cushman & Wakefield data. This global powerhouse consultancy just dropped their bombshell assessment for the year 2025. We are talking 22 straight quarters of skyrocketing prices, over 5 years of relentless financial pressure crushing every single tenant. Let those numbers sink in. Paychecks? Flatline zero. Rent? Exploding by 16 to 20%. This isn't just a pinch, it's a total economic demolition of the middle class's way of life. Washika Hafiz Hakim, a top dean at the University of Dubai, hit the nail on the head during her Business Insider exclusive. She highlighted the exact professionals fueling Dubai's growth, warning that their survival is now the ultimate priority. Making sure these paychecks actually keep up is the only thing that matters right now. In plain English, the math is broken for the very people this city desperately needs to survive. Recruitment titan Trevor Murphy from Cooper Fitch gave an even more brutal reality check. He told The National that a massive wave of newcomers has stripped workers of all their bargaining power. His take on this cutthroat market was nothing short of a wake-up call. We have literal dentists fleeing their clinics to chase commissions as real estate agents across the Emirates. It's not that selling houses pays better. It's that the professional world is becoming a bloodbath. Elite talent is so desperate they are taking massive steps backward just to stay in the game. All for a shot at a residency stamp and a prayer of surviving in this city. When bosses can hire overqualified experts for entry-level roles, Murphy warns, the system is rigged. It becomes a structural nightmare for loyal employees to even dream of a raise. This is a textbook labor disaster, where a massive surplus of workers is killing everyone's leverage. It's a double-edged sword, crashing wages on one side and a housing inferno on the other. Here is the cold, hard truth that those glossy tourism brochures and developer pitches refuse to mention. The issue isn't that Dubai lost its spark or its legendary allure. It's that the city is attracting a new crowd, while abandoning the very people who built its fame. It's becoming a playground for the ultra-rich, while turning its back on the people who make it function. Picture the expat pro arriving with a family and several kids needing elite international schooling. They need a real home, a car, insurance, the whole high-stakes package just to exist here. By the year 2026, the financial reality of that dream has turned into a total nightmare. It's a world away from the manageable costs we saw back in 2019 or 2021. Schooling fees in this city are wild, starting at 12,500 dirhams and heading straight to the moon. At the top tier, you are looking at over 100,000 dirhams every single year. For a family with a few kids, education alone could bleed them dry of 150,000 annually. This is the grim reality exposed by the latest Superprime Research Group investigation. Take a household clearing $60,000. Good money, right? Wrong. Every cent is devoured by rent and schools, vaporizing that famous tax-free advantage instantly. Zero income tax was the hook, but the skyrocketing cost of living is the hidden trap. The fine print is now written in blood, and it's getting impossible for families to ignore. But this wage-to-rent gap is just the tip of the iceberg for Dubai's future population. There is a massive structural rift opening up between the city and the long-term residents it needs. We are talking about families who stay a decade, the backbone of local expertise and institutional memory. For decades, the legal system here was built to keep people moving, never letting them put down roots. The sponsorship chains and ticking visa clocks meant your home was always conditional on your boss. There was zero path to truly belonging, no matter how much heart and soul you poured into the dirt. By design, this was a transit lounge, a place to pass through, never a place to call home. The government sees the fire and is throwing out golden visas to try and fix the foundation. But shifting laws on a page and changing the soul of a city are two very different battles. Every pro in the desert by 2026 feels it deep down. This gold-plated metropolis never intended to let them truly belong. When the paycheck stops making sense, that cold reality finally bites. Look closer. 3 distinct worlds collide behind those massive population stats. This crisis isn't hitting everyone equally. For the global elite, life's golden. The heavy hitters running funds through the financial district live a different reality. We're talking $20 million portfolios tucked away in private accounts, Silicon Valley transplants in Palm mansions, and high-flying private equity kings. They aren't sweating rent hikes or counting pennies like the middle class. For the 1%, the city remains the ultimate playground. Total safety, zero tax on gains, and no inheritance death trap. A perfect global hub with a lifestyle that's straight up legendary. The 2025 Knight Frank data reveals the shocking truth. Luxury pads here are a steal compared to Singapore or Hong Kong. The top-tier market is bulletproof. To them, the drama is just static. But for your average professional, the math just isn't mathing anymore. We mean the engineers, the marketers, and the frontline medical heroes. These are the people eyeing the exit and planning their escape. Frozen wages, skyrocketing rents, and school fees that absolutely drain you. Death by 1,000 cuts has destroyed their financial dream. Road tolls went through the roof in 2025 with surge pricing. Shelling out 6 dirhams just to drive at peak hour adds up. Tack on sales tax and the new corporate tax hit from 2023. Even the drinks got pricier with the 2025 booze tax return. Health coverage costs can vanish 7,000 dirhams in a heartbeat. The tax-free dream is being dismantled brick by brick. Fiona Robson, a top academic voice in the region, weighs in, leading the business school at Heriot-Watt's local campus here. She warns that stagnant pay is basically a slow-motion car crash for savings. 16% rent spikes versus 0 raises? That's not a dip, it's a total wipeout. Then there's the hidden city. The one they hide from the cameras. The laborers and cleaners who actually keep the lights on behind the scenes. This literal backbone of the desert has always lived on the razor's edge. Officials count nearly 9 million soul-crushing stories of migration here. That's over 80% of the people living in this sandbox. Global monitoring groups in 2025 exposed a massive shadow over the city. Bosses keep people trapped by taking travel docs and withholding pay for months. The restrictive employment legal framework ties workers to a single master. Your entire legal existence belongs to the person who signs your check. Global watchdogs say this system facilitates mistreatment that leaves people nowhere to run. Men building skyscrapers for the gram earn a measly 600 dirhams. That's a pathetic $163 for a month's work, grinding in 45-degree heat while the world watches. From AC, every cent goes back to families in India, Pakistan, and the Philippines. Without them, this entire shimmering mirage would crumble into the sand. These forgotten souls are the city's ghosts, ignored and left defenseless in this urban saga. Dubai wasn't built on a single vision. It's a chaotic pile of conflicting fantasies. Sold as one brand, the elite saw a tax haven paved with gold standard steel. White-collar nomads viewed it as a 5- or 10-year wealth engine before their final exit. Migrant workers just saw a paycheck slightly better than the poverty they fled back home. Travelers chased affordable luxury, but as the facade cracks, every single illusion begins to crumble. We must dissect the deep-rooted flaws that existed long before the first signs of disaster. These cracks were widening well before the numbers finally started flashing red. The initial weakness is the very crisis we have already put under the microscope. Rents are skyrocketing while paychecks stall, all within a workforce rigged for exploitation. The system is engineered to crush the wages of everyone except the elite. It's deliberate. This fallout was inevitable when a city's headcount outpaced its supply of elite, high-paying roles. Officials are chasing a massive influx of 5.8 million more residents by 2040. Their formal urban blueprint outlines a goal that is nothing short of staggering. Can this economy actually produce enough 6-figure careers to house such a massive crowd? Or will it just be a desperate swarm fighting over the same few prestige positions? With salaries sinking Experts like Cooper Fitch Murphy signaled this exact looming catastrophe. He pointed out that the flood of foreigners is actually neutralizing any real economic growth. Simply put, a growing mob is hunting for a shrinking number of prizes. That dog-eat-dog race pads the boss's pockets, ignoring the workers' plight. Next up, the glut. Almost 366,000 new homes are set to flood the market by 2028. This shocking forecast comes from Property Monitor and the sharp analysts at Cavendish Maxwell. Roughly 66% of this tidal wave is comprised of tiny studios and one-beds. Within Jumeirah Village Circle, 13,900 keys drop in 2025, followed by another 11,800 units arriving in 2026. Ratings giant Fitch warns of a 15% price crash hitting by late 2025. This slump is fueled by a two-year surge of 210,000 new properties. It's a cruel twist. Rents hiked 16% annually for years in this high-speed city. After drawing in legions of newcomers, the market is suddenly drowning in surplus housing units, the exact small flats that the average middle-class worker actually relies on for survival. After years of price gouging, this market is spiraling toward a different kind of chaos. Neither outcome offers any mercy to those who gambled during the height of the bubble. The final flaw is nearly impossible to measure, yet it remains the most dangerous threat. It lacks a soul, or what experts call authentic identity. This city built a brand, not culture. It focuses on its possessions instead of its essence. The tallest towers and the biggest malls. From desert ski slopes to automated metros, these feats are undeniably breathtaking. They amaze the world, but surviving a financial storm requires a deeper, more human connection. It's about residents feeling that the ground beneath them holds some real emotional weight, a bond that goes beyond the bank balance, like the ties binding Singapore or Hong Kong. Even in the darkest recessions, New York's grip on its people never truly slips. Those icons possess a spirit that their citizens carry deep within their very bones. Even the architects of Dubai's success have admitted this cultural void exists. The former tourism chief, Ihsan Kazim, once stepped forward to address this looming issue. He openly called for the city to foster real grassroots communities instead of artificial luxury, to stop leaning solely on flash, massive size, and hollow spectacles for its survival. It is a staggering confession from the heart of the world's most aggressively marketed desert metropolis. The city that once acted like a playground finally admits it needs to become a sanctuary. Their massive growth dreams have slammed into a brick wall of logistical bottlenecks. Global monitors have repeatedly named this city as one of the most gridlocked on Earth. Official data from the Transport Authority and Human Resources departments has finally confirmed the truth. Shifting to flexible hours and remote setups could slash peak congestion by 30%. Slashing 30% from today's levels only proves how catastrophic the current situation is. Locals are sounding the alarm that the nightmare traffic is destroying their peace of mind. The rail system is expanding from 55 to 96 stations by the year 2030. They target 140 stops eventually, but the daily grind remains a brutal reality. Most high-earning expats living in isolated, car-dependent luxury districts are trapped behind a wheel. Living in exclusive estates means wasting your life, paralyzed on major highways and massive interchanges. If your salary is totally stagnant while your housing costs have exploded by 16%, toss in 3 hours of daily commute torture, and those tax-free perks lose their luster. Do not be fooled. This does not mean the dream is dead or over. We must avoid the blind hype that masked the cracks during the explosive boom years. This city has shown incredible strength, even when global markets collapsed and bit hard. Property values once crashed by 40 to 50%, yet the city rose again. Even the 2020 pandemic dip was erased by a massive population surge within 2 years. The local leadership is aggressive, highly calculated, and armed with massive sovereign resources. From golden residency tiers to global tax alignment and new tolls, they are pivoting fast. These are surgical strikes against real chaos, not just some elaborate piece of theatre. Survival is in their DNA. But operational recovery is different than a full strategic pivot. Planes fly and hotels fill in weeks, while the property market eventually finds its feet. But rebuilding the value for the essential professionals who keep the gears turning is difficult. We mean the seasoned experts with families who need an actual home, not a resort. For those planning a 10-year future, this transformation will take at least a decade. The vicious cycle of soaring expenses and frozen wages will not magically reverse itself tomorrow. Rents might finally stabilize once those 300,000 new apartments hit the market. Yet that cooling will cause total chaos for investors who bought at the absolute peak. You cannot manufacture a soul or a true culture through a simple government decree. Real community spirit requires deep roots and the kind of permanence that takes time. Current residency laws still make it difficult for most people to ever truly belong here. Massive reforms are underway, but the gap between the vision and reality remains terrifying. The dream of 2040 feels distant when you are stuck in Tuesday morning gridlock. It is March of 2026, and you just got hit with an 18% hike. With your income flat, no amount of policy talk will fill that empty bank account. So, does this brutal reality check match the struggle you are seeing with your own eyes? Is the financial math still working? Or has the cost of living shattered the pitch? That is the real question. Not whether a 4 million person city will survive in the sand. It will. But does the version of life they sold you actually deliver the promise? If you want this kind of deep, data-driven truth about the markets you gamble on, then you already know exactly what you need to do to stay ahead. Now,